How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Johnny Concert Podcast. I'm Johnny Concert. I got my buddy Ledbelly with me today. Ledbelly!
Hello.
And today the topic of the day is lyrics. Cool lyrics, misunderstood lyrics, anything and everything about lyrics. So I'll start right off the bat. Oh, by the way, which one's pink? Love that lyric.
It's not the guy behind the
little comedy,
DJ,
little,
I guarantee that.
Little comedy, little... Mark Twain always said, all humor is born a grievance. The grievance is that the freaking management companies and the record companies they just seriously would say, which one's pink? Yeah. Because they would pretend they cared about the band, but they were cared about the money. It was kind of the grievance behind that. But it looked great lyric.
Such a shot, a little underhanded.
Funny stuff.
I mean, a little tongue-in-cheek, if you will.
I love a good tongue-in-cheek.
They had it, what the heck, they had to explain the name of the band, so. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's a great mystique right there. You got, why is the name of the band, still there's a great story behind their band name, but.
Every name has a great story, which is why in my How to Learn series in my Renaissance, the first crucial component, I call them, crucial components. The first crucial component is in the form of a question. What's the significance of the title? Why is something called something? Why is Pink Floyd called Pink Floyd? Why is Catcher in the Rye called Catcher in the Rye? Why am I John McLaughlin? Johnny Concert. And everything, it's almost always a good answer. It's a story.
Yeah, a lot of thought might have gone into it or not.
So do you know why they're called Pink Floyd? What the significance of the title?
Absolutely, but I thought we were going with lyrics.
Well, we are, but since we're already digressing off the topic, we haven't.
Well, it's obviously a reference to what I've
suggested. After one lyric, we're already digressing.
It's a reference to what I've suggested as the basis for everything.
I was going to
another topic, really.
Well, all going to come into one topic anyway. That's why podcasts are podcasts.
Where the development of music came from, but lyrical. What you said earlier, how we started the podcast, was great because you said they made a reference to their own band name in one of their songs.
Right, love it.
And there you go. What the hell is that?
Yeah. It's hilarious.
Going, and that's the whole thing with
and I guarantee it was based on a moment they had with a record executive.
Yeah.
Where the guy didn't know anything about he's like, he's like, you guys are great, I'm fully on board, and he didn't really know anything about the band. I promise you that happened. Yeah. And that's what kicked it off.
And obviously they didn't really have an identity at the time when they made the name. And they came out with some pretty amazing stuff at the time, which wasn't lyrically.
So why are they called Pink Floyd?
But of course, it was a reference to their, in the vein of online entertainment. Why should we go there?
That lyric was, but why are they called Pink Floyd?
Just keep guessing,
Why are they called? Do you know why they're called Pink Floyd?
Literally, they had a couple of heroes, and that will go with that. And it was actually an homage to two different.
That's right. I do. I loved you, Ledbelly.
Of their influences.
It's Sid Barrett's.
Not influences, but early.
Sid Barrett's favorite blues guys, or English blues guys. There was Pink somebody and somebody Floyd. Yeah. So he put them together.
There you go.
You go. You got to answer those questions. You got to ask those questions, though. What's the title?
That's where I like to hear is, what are you talking about? Let's hear the information. But hey, man, we got time to kill, right?
That's right. Well, that's why we're doing a podcast, because we know why they're called Pink Floyd.
Yeah, that was super silly that they actually mentioned their own name in a lyric.
That's good stuff.
So that brought that. Of course, it didn't explain it at the time. It's just like, which one is pink? It just opened it up a bit more.
It was hilarious.
And there's where you go. At the time, that was almost early 70s, so.
And of course, Sid Barrett's pink.
Lots of, that was kind of their.
That's what they were talking about. He's the Crazy Diamond, too.
Because that's who Shine On You Crazy Diamond
is
about, which is an amazing epic, which just has a few little verses and a great chorus. And
those lyrics, too, I think about the lyrics of Welcome to the Machine, too. Welcome back to the Johnny Concert podcast. We had a little technical difficulty. Now we're rolling back again. So we're talking about we started talking about lyrics. We were on Pink Floyd's lyric, and also we were talking about Pink Floyd for like 10 minutes as one.
Well, naturally,
as a one into music would do.
Tangent,
naturally.
Which had a worthy note to it. So.
That's right. Like I said, I was going to call the podcast "But I Digress." But I digress. Which you always have to put one finger up.
You guys will write about anything, right? And
we'll talk about anything.
It's better to listen to a guy go 1, 2. What? Yeah, hurry up.
This is the first song on our new album. So think about some more lyrics. Well, the other thing is
banter.
Just silly lyrics like, the spring clean for the May Queen. Okay. Really? Okay. What are we talking about there? And
interpreting lyrics. There we go.
Well, I hate when my hedgerow has a bustle in it. That's for damn sure.
Because that's the thing. A lot of people do misinterpret what they hear, but there's obviously some weird lyrics out there, so.
Oh, yeah, there are, and we're about to talk about it.
And actually, the best part about some of my favorite music is that, what is that, or it gets you thinking, well, why are we rhyming? Is there a reason?
That's a good one. No rhyme, no reason.
There's and actually that has been used as a lyrical content.
Because it just has a flow. It has a certain sound to it that is pleasing, which is what music is about. It's pleasing sounds and pleasing notes that follow each other that are pleasing together.
People like to be able to sing along, I think.
That's another thing. In memory, you remember things better. But it's also just showing off how clever you can be. Iambic pentameter, like I think about Shakespeare's sonnets, the ABAB rhyme scheme, and that's true. Rhyming is good.
Now you lost me.
We lost each other a long time ago. So anyway, back to lyrics. What are some other good lyrics that you like? We were talking about Rush earlier. Neil Peart wrote 99% of all of Rush's lyrics, the drummer, and which I was saying was interesting earlier because if you write a song that means a lot to you and you're singing that song with the emotion of that moment you felt what you're writing about. But if the drummer writes the lyrics and Geddy Lee, the bass player / singer's vocalist, sings them, you're singing somebody else's lyrics. But they still were so tight as a band that he managed to put his emotion or Neil's emotions or maybe one's emotions, the world, like there were universal lyrics at some point. Sometimes
it's something that translates into a musical from the literal, and that's difficult. Obviously, especially when you got to develop a melody. I don't think Neil was too in tune with the melodic development of his lyrics, but I'm not sure about that.
101 Dalmatians, melody first, my dear, then the lyrics.
They're an amazing group in that regard, though, because they.
Well, and of course, Neil wrote 3 international bestsellers, and he wrote a bunch of. I can't remember exactly how many books, but he wrote a multitude of books. He was a wordsmith and he's a super genius.
He was super prolific, but everything he did was so meaningful. And people could relate to it all day. My first introduction, of course, to Neil Peart, and I'd like to suggest anybody that is interested would check this, is the inner gatefold of the 2112 record from 1976.
Yes.
Was an entire prologue to the lyrical content of the record. So it was basically a sci-fi story.
Almost like a comic book.
Futuristic.
Yes. 2112.
And we don't need to go through the details because it's so beautiful the way he expressed himself through the preface of what we're looking at. And here's what they came up with as a musical description or a diorama of everything that this could be. They came up with something that was,
Well, that's what's funny too is that Caress of Steel hadn't done very well. And so, which I think is a freaking fantastic album, but hadn't done very well. So the record executive said, "Now this next one, dude, you gotta cut the sci-fi, all that crazy stuff out. You gotta do more like radio-friendly hits,
Yeah,
they said, "Yeah, we'll get right on that." Put out 2112.
That's the best thing about Rush. They had their moment where the record companies giving them their goddamn ultimatum, if, like you're kind of telling me, this is not selling. You got to do something different.
Yeah, we'll
And
write
it
one
took
that's
it to
even
the
way more not probably going to not sell, but then it did.
Yeah, they didn't give a damn.
They didn't give a shit, I mean, we only got to one lyric about the topic of lyrics, but the thing is, too, is I always say the best music ever written was written, and art, too, is just written to write a great piece of art. It had nothing to do with
there's
trying to sell a record or trying to keep a song in a certain time limit or pleasing someone else or pleasing a record. I mean, it was done just to make a great piece of art with no other thoughts to it, and that's the best music ever written was written in that vein.
If you take the record industry out of the equation. Because there's a lot of good, overlooked songs that just basically fell under the wayside or whatever.
Yeah.
And they produced the good stuff, what they thought was a hit, and that works in a lot of respects. And everything's changed since then. And in my opinion, that doesn't even happen. But I like to, when we talk about lyrics, I think we got to go back to like where it all begins is like people trying to communicate, and then it became into an entertainment, and then you got actual communication, or you can relate to it. I don't know. There's so many ways that you can look at it.
The job of a lyricist is to convey emotion. Yeah. And so that's...
I was never understood when I was taught, like in 7th or 8th grade, they're like, you're going to learn poetry. And I never got the correlation between, that's how the, pop music or whatever, for instance, goes. Like lyric songs are based off of poetry, but that wasn't correlated.
Songs are poems
for whatever reason.
Songs are poems for sure.
So I never got that idea. Every time I thought about I gotta make a poem up, I gotta think of I did come to me. Yeah, I can't.
There once was a man from Nantucket.
I literally used when we had to get high level prose or whatever it was at the time. I went to Rush Lyrics to try to figure out how to represent what they wanted me to show them, So I just basically changed the words around to Xanadu for a project.
Well, which was, of course, based on the Samuel Taylor Coleridge poem.
Yeah.
Which
and I thought it was amazing lyricism and, very descriptive
held
lyricism.
Within the pleasure dome, decreed by Kubla Khan.
Yeah.
For I have dined on honeydew and drunk the milk of paradise. Good stuff.
Yeah, there's just a paraphrase and part of it, but it has some visual concepts in it, that it throws out there lyrically.
Oh yeah, you could sense the pleasure though. You could see them going through the caves.
And yeah, so that always attracted me as far as lyrical content, and why Neil Peart is one of my favorite authors, because he makes it work so well, or lyricist.
We were talking about the song "Spirit of Radio."
Oh man.
And
there's a lot of
good one. It's begin the day with a friendly voice, a companion so unobtrusive. Plays that song that's so elusive, and the magic music makes your morning move.
It seems, it's almost Beatlesque in its formation.
It is a little Beatle, good
like
call.
You got to really give it some thought about. There's a meaning to this. What are we listening to? And the guy had so much literal. He's dead on. Everything he said was in his lyric for the band was something that you would relate or understand.
Well, Spirit Radio, bearing a gift beyond price, almost free, because you got to listen to the commercials. And then,
right, yeah, and then the little innuendos, he throws shots here and there.
But radio was, how crucial is that in the development of society?
There was definitely that was aimed at a certain somebody at the time, I'm sure.
Well, it's pretty universal. Aimed at everybody.
And it did give that's probably the inspiration for it. But it came out that, everybody can relate that there's music right there. You can dial it in at will. Amazing.
Well, what's that, Boston? Turn on some music to start my day.
And, that's what I love about Rush is because just join it. But anyway, there's millions and millions of lyricists out there. That's what I love is the song is the song. So it goes on and on,
Sometimes the simplest ones are genius, but Yeah, it's.
I remember
it's-
listening to a song called "Spinning Wheel" by the Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Oh yeah, blood,
While
sweat,
I
and
was
tears.
sitting at the
Those guys are great.
laundromat watching clothes go around and around.
Made
And
total sense.
The association
Dude. Is this song
makes
about
that song
doing the
one of
laundry?
It makes one of the very first songs I have recognition of in my head of remembering a time and a
How does that
place
song
for a
go?
song. But
Spinning
yeah,
wheel.
and that's lots of there's the thing we know as a
Is that what goes up must come down?
yeah.
Is that song?
Yeah.
Yeah. What goes up must spin a wheel around and
Yeah,
around.
it's a great.
That's a good song, man.
It has a great horn section,
good
which
shit.
is fantastic. The
Blood, sweat, and tears. There's good stuff, man.
And as a kid, I was just like, I'd hear like a riff of it. I recognize the songs coming on or something.
There's something to be said about a lyric or
One of the very first recognitions of actually recognizing a song.
That's crazy. The pattern, the brain patterns, and the changes in your brain, and then memory.
Yeah,
with those
association. And,
associations with those first
but lyrical hooks are what,
lyrical hooks.
what the chorus is generally designed to do in a lot of fashions or a lot of music. If you don't recognize it, it's good. If you do recognize it, it's typical. So cookie cutter. If
That's
you
a
will.
lot when I think about great authors. They'll make a esoteric reference during a part of the story, and if you know it, you nod appreciatively and say, "Oh yeah, I know that. I understand that reference." If you don't, the story still goes on. And you don't say, "Huh? I wonder what that is." It flows.
Yeah, it's not
flows either way.
They're done that. It's like, oh, where are we going?
Where are we going? I like it. It's a good one.
So that's the best.
That's a lyric right there, buddy.
The best element of a lyric is either you enjoy singing along to it or it involves you somehow. But yeah, it could go.
breathe in the air.
It's funny how there's just there's no rhyme or reason, as they say, but people la 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 or baby 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 just to keep the rhythm.
Yeah, I love a good baby baby.
And there's a lot to be said for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But think about what about and then one day you find 10 years have got behind you. No one told you when to run. You must have started
exactly.
at
If
Pink
you're
Floyd's
just
time.
like in a fucking
Everybody realized that one. Where'd those last 10 years go, man? That's bullshit. I'm old now. What happened? What the hell happened?
the beauty of actual
happened?
relevance or relation to where I know what you're saying, kind of thing, and I want to hear more. Or this is what I like to hear. That's the best part about a song for me. But
It's identification. You identify with the. You're like, that just happened to me yesterday, or oh, that's so true.
I
So-
love it, and that's why I think that electronic music is so divergent of any creativity, in my opinion, because you have to. It's easy to make sounds.
You have to
And build sounds with the Legos and not have an actual message with those sounds is where it becomes very involved, and
that's called songwriting, and it's different. You're right. Anybody can practice something. Not anybody, but people can practice a certain piece of music instrumentally and play it over and over and many times to get it.
Yeah, I guess
when you put that together with a lyric that just affects lots of people, that's songwriting, and that's impressive. It's a difference between great players and great songwriters, and then when they come together. Not to keep going on Pink Floyd, but I think about money. Money is the root of all evil. So they say is the root of all evil. But if you ask for a rise, no surprise, they're giving none away. It's the root of all evil. So hand me that money over here. I don't want you to get corrupted by it. But no. It's the root of all evil. But I'm still gonna hang on to mine, buddy.
Excellent example.
That's another great lyric.
Of creative, input and a little bit of tongue in cheek or throwing shots at the system.
All humor's born of grievance. It's brilliant.
Without
That's what we
being
get through.
like, oh, that guy, we don't take care of that.
That's right. Well, that's the other
It's
one
a little
too.
bit of like just use your brain at the time, like you can think for
You know,
yourself.
it's crazy. Sometimes it seems so easy to write great lyrics. Sometimes it seems like so. It seems like I think of Bon Scott. Here's another great one. I'll tell you what, it's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. Sometimes it seems like anyway you go, you know, just write a couple. You know, some of the most brilliant songs are like 5 notes, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, Bon Scott said, "I'll tell you what, it's harder than it looks."
Right. Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. Is stardom has got its
Well, that's a whole other segment.
charms. All right.
Stardom.
But you definitely got to be careful what you ask for. So.
Yeah.
And then, of
I don't know
course,
what I would've done.
there's other people that want to take a piece of you all the way over
That's
the top.
the problem. Everybody's grabbing at you. That's when you start, and that's when music suffers. When you're killing it and you make great music and
Right.
everyone's into it. All of a sudden you got managers coming at you. Everybody wants something from you. People are asking you to borrow money. People are trying to get in on your action, and next thing you know, your brain gets too unfocused, and you start making mediocre music.
Right, yeah, don't distract me from what I wanna do.
Which makes it even more impressive for a band that has longevity that still keeps putting out great music is absolutely incredible. When you think about being on the road in the old days, they were staying at cheap motels and they were eating crappy food and everybody, they were getting high as a kite, and they were still putting out consistently great shows and great music. And you know, their managers, everyone's banging each other, their girlfriends, their managers stealing their money. You got, you know, a bad investment.
In a lot of ways.
You know, your amps broke down. You didn't have, you know, all your equipment broke down. You didn't have any, you know, customs seized your shit. All this stuff happens. And these people, like, I think of a lot of bands in the 70s, they never put on a bad show ever.
Right.
You know, no matter what. It didn't
People
matter.
had a work ethic
Crashing
at that time,
cars
which was somehow balanced with a lot of craziness and a lot of, you know, like heady stuff going on to keep on top. But
You think about Leonard
It was a
Skinner, man.
great
Those guys
time.
never put on a bad show, dude. They were always getting in fights, getting drunk, you know, plane crashes, whatever, you know. And they just still, like, every time they show up, boom, they're gonna put on a great show. They're not.
Ain't that the truth?
They don't even consider maybe like, oh no, I'm not feeling well. Let's cancel the show. Yeah, whatever, dude. Get your ass up there. They never did that. I mean, they were, and to this day, when we saw
And
Leonard
that's why
Skinner 5 years ago, they
Ronnie
killed it.
Van Zant is one of the extreme awesomest lyricists ever.
Good point.
They
Freebird.
lived on the road, and they wrote basically about rock and roll
Give me
or
back
what they
my
saw.
bullets.
So it was
I hope no young will remember. Southern Man doesn't need him around anyhow.
amazing little archive of material there. If you look into their library,
Ooh,
the lyricism from Leonard Skinner, yeah, that was some
That's
pretty
some
good
real
stuff from the '70s.
But I mean, they were killing it, man. But they, no matter what iteration they went through, and no matter how much tragedy came their way, they still never put on a bad show.
They had the Allman Brothers to look.
They were
kind of paving the way.
They were.
going through the
They
shit.
used to be on the same bill as Allman Brothers a lot too for a while there.
Yeah.
And with Blackfoot and with Molly Hatchet, they'd put them on the same bill. They were paying these guys a lot of money back then too. But there was also like a little competitive thing, like you wasn't feeling that good that night. So you put on a mediocre show. No. you don't get that out.
Yeah,
You just have to put on. You have to get ready for the show. You got to
They
figure
had
out a
better
way.
booze back
Get
then,
your brain. Yeah, they had, but yeah, I mean, it's impressive, man. When you think about
It was cleaner than what we got these days.
You think so? Yeah, but it was strong.
I'm sure
man.
they were
I don't know.
hungover, but they were.
Well, the other thing is, different people are different things. Speaking of Allman Brothers, Greg Allman used to shoot up 5 different drugs
Well, yeah,
a day.
they had
He was off his rocker.
a lot at their
And then
disposal.
talk about tragedy too. That band's crazy. But let's think about some other great lyrics that. What about I Am the Walrus?
Well, of course. That's kind of what I was getting at. Every time I think about this topic, is there's the goo goo jaboos or whatever you're supposed to interpret something.
What the hell is that?
Or,
mean?
you know,
I Am the
another-
Walrus.
I
And if
love
there's
it.
one thing I
They
know,
got some
Ledbelly,
great lyrics in that
if there's
song,
one thing
and
I've
just
learned,
totally off the wall.
off the wall. If there's one thing I've learned throughout my many years, it's that we do not all live in a yellow submarine, dude. We just don't.
Well, that's why I kind of identify with the song, just because it is so,
What the hell is it?
non-informative or non. It doesn't mean anything.
Did you see Ringo Starr's All-Star Band play live?
I did see
They're
one
the worst,
incarnation.
dude. They're terrible. They're unlistenable. I left early. I mean, I know it's Ringo Starr's a Beatle, but I was like,
Yeah, it's a silly
the
tribute.
music is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Sorry, Ringo, but it's just not good.
I go to hear, I'd say I've seen a Beatle because that was awesome, but
Oh yeah, I've seen him twice. So I went twice, so
better
wasn't
than
that
seeing a
bad.
tribute on campus. I don't know.
No, it's I don't know what to say about that, but
He wrote a song or two for the Beatles, like you said.
Yes, he did.
Was the Yellow Submarine his pen?
yeah, it was. And
Yeah,
so there's
and Octopus's Garden.
Octopus's Garden. That's
Yeah,
everything. I
love
don't
that.
think.
Just gotta love it.
Yeah.
Or,
Well, so if you were in the Yellow Submarine, you were probably maybe parked right up on the Octopus's Garden there, down there under the
Yeah.
sea.
no, it's beautiful music.
It's good stuff. But it's
If you
a little
don't want to
strange.
sing along to the Beatles, and
So the Bill Hicks routine where Bill Hicks says, if you're against drugs, why don't you do me a favor? Go home and burn every album, every tape, every CD, everything.
Well, yeah,
because all those
that's on a tour
all those
record,
musicians who made all that music that has enriched your lives, low these many years, all real fucking high on drugs.
really.
He said the Beatles were so high they even let Ringo sing a couple songs.
I think that's probably why when they were teaching me to be a poet, they didn't mention, there's the Beatles and there's the Doors and
Yep.
there's Janis making songs. I'm like,
I think about the Doors though, man. I don't know if I'm.
he's the American poet.
I
What do
know
you
he's
think?
an American poet, but I don't know if I worship Jim Morrison as much now as I used to. I hate to say it. I hate to say it, Jim. Sorry, buddy.
Oh my!
But
Yeah, I lived him.
Sometimes that's true. Good point. So sometimes that's a whole other topic we're going to do is music that stands the test of time. And Jim Morrison, God, what an asshole too. You know how many times if you went to a Doors concert, dude, it was like 50-50 times you're going to get a
Personable.
show or he's going to fucking get booed off and get arrested in the first 5 minutes and it's going to be the worst show you've ever seen. Or not even a show. They might not even just cancel the
Yeah,
show.
at least you get along
It's
with most
50-50.
people.
I mean, I appreciate his rock stardom, and that's part of being an artist, I guess. But but after a while, dude, it's like, you gonna play the show or not, bro?
Part of the music industry that took him out there, just like Jimmy. All
Kind
the
of.
pressures of the
Yeah, but
industry
I think he was
damaged what we saw in the 70s, but
But he was just made himself. He's almost like David Bowie. Just made himself an icon, and then lived a rock star life just to live the rock star life, And I don't know, man.
yeah, he was a bit of a prima
But
donna,
he was an
I guess,
American
and
poet.
respective.
Yeah.
But he did have an image, and he also represented. So
Well, that's part of being a rock star is being a prima donna. I think. I'm not sure.
he represented like the best of them. So that's all.
Well, so I saw.
I wasn't there. It was before my time.
I saw Behind the Music.
I love
but-
Johnny Cash. I love all
Oh
that
yeah,
stuff.
so I got a couple of things. My girlfriend bought the history of the CMAs, and watching those old CMA awards with Johnny Cash and June Carter would be the MCs, and they'd have in the front row, you'd have Merle Haggard and Waylon Jennings and Chris Christopherson and George Jones and all those dudes. Man, they were complete outlaws, man.
Yeah.
Not over George Jones, but they were complete outlaws, man.
Yeah.
And the Highwaymen, man. So that's true. That's true. That's good stuff. And those are quite entertaining, dude. The history of CMAs is quite entertaining. So I got it off the infomercial. And that's a good one, actually. But
Well, yeah, there's lots of Americana content that is worthy of note there, but obviously before our time, really. But
because I was country when country wasn't cool. That's good old George Jones there.
I'll see. I don't know that.
Oh yeah, Johnny Concert does all kinds of things. So my girlfriend's really into country. He was raised on listening to some country, and I'm not necessarily so. But I do more about a lot of other musicians, and I was telling her who Chet Atkins was and all these people, because Johnny Concert has to know about music, man. I just know things. Sometimes I don't even know why I know some of these things, dude. I'm like, that's an Oak Ridge voice. How do you know that? I don't know. I don't really listen to Oak Ridge voice.
You gotta be
But I knew that was Oak
converse.
Ridge voice. Hey man, so the other thing I used to do, sometimes I would go to concerts I didn't want to go to, or actively dislike the band, and I would go to the concert just like win arguments about music with people. No, how do you know? You never seen that band live? Actually, I have. Saw them last week. I could win this argument right now. They're not that good.
Yeah.
But once in a while, I would get proven wrong. Even Johnny Concert, will admit once in a while that he's wrong, which, I mean, it really never happened. It's more like the one time I did think I was wrong is the time that I thought I was wrong, but then I realized I wasn't wrong.
If you're sitting there talking and someone calls you out, do you accept that or?
Yeah, usually you do. But oftentimes it goes the other way, though. It's like, so think about this time when you're you went to a concert, and say it's Pepsi Center, and afterwards you're at the Brooklyn's bar, you sit at the bar, and these people, like they maybe go to 1 or 2 concerts a year or something. They thought it was the best concert they've ever seen. They're like just glowing, like that was so good.
But you're like,
but it wasn't really that good, because we've been to thousands of concerts. We're like, it's all right, but so then we got 2 options. Do you just nod and smile, or do you actively say it ruined their entire year if I say that concert sucked? I don't know what you guys were thinking, man. Johnny Concert Podcast. Thank you for watching.